Okay, good morning. I'm recording too at the same time. This ought to be interesting, right? Mrs. Bush said she did it, so we're going to see. As you can see, those of you at home watching, we are in the gym today getting ready to do Chapter 9, Lesson 3 in Social Studies. So we are currently finding on our iPad that lesson. PDF should be open. Yesterday you were adding in vocab, people, and places. You took a quiz over lessons 1 and 2. So if you did not finish the quiz yesterday, we need to make sure we get that done. And we need to get the vocab, people, places added to your notebook. All right, so in your notebook on the next blank page after the vocab, people, places, you're going to write what at the top? I've been doing this for 9 chapters now. What are we writing at the top? Raise your hand. What are we writing at the top, Charlie? Yep, Chapter 9, Lesson 3 notes at the top of the paper. Right. Lesson 3 is called Winning Independence. So I am currently on page 356 where it says, "You are there." I'm going to read that little section here. The booming sound of cannon fire echoes around you. As you stand on the deck of your ship, you try to see through the smoke. You wonder if the battle is over. Then you see your captain, John Paul Jones, walking toward you. "Back to your place, sailor," he shouts. "This battle is far from over." What battle? What's happening? What's happening right now, Bradley? Yeah, they're fighting, right? We've got different battles happening in different places. Nick? What's that?
Is that the one with the turtle that we watched?
Oh, that we watched yesterday? Or was that his name, John Paul Jones?
No, because when they attacked the turtle, the British ran away.
Okay, so I don't remember that being his name, but... All right, we're taking notes today. We've done this before by turning those headings into questions. Remember how we did that? We take those words, we're going to make them questions, and that's the question we're going to answer as we're reading that section. Don't forget, you also have the reading check questions still down there. Every lesson, every section has those reading check questions. So those are questions you should be answering as well. Okay? So our first section here, which will be Roman numeral 1, or just a number 1 is fine. Revolutionary heroes on page 357. What question can we ask about revolutionary heroes? Sophia? Okay, who were they, right? Who were the revolutionary heroes? What else, Riker? The heroes. Where we said, who are they? What else would we want to know? What else would we want to know about those heroes? Who they are and... John? And what they did, right? What made them a hero? So you probably wrote a lot of these people down yesterday because I see them, for the most part, they're all bold type. Okay, so you should have these in your people. But next to number 1, you're going to write revolutionary heroes, and the questions you're keeping in mind are, who are the heroes and what did they do? Okay, some of you I know like to write the questions. Some of you just write that title there at the top and kind of remember those questions. And all you would really have to write next to it would be who and what. Okay, so you'd have to write quite so many words. All right, I'm going to read here. We're going to do this section together, and then we'll go from there. Ready? During the Revolutionary War, the Continental Army and Navy received help from many civilians or people not in the military. Nathan Hale was a teacher who served as an American spy in New York City. When he was captured by the British, they hanged him. According to legend, his final words were, "I regret that I have but one life to lose for my country." Let's talk about that saying. Nick.
Wait, what's he mean does he mean like he regrets being a spy?
No, what does that mean? I regret that I have but one life to lose for my country. What would he do again and again and again for his country? What would he keep doing, Mimi? He would keep fighting for it, even if it meant what, Kenny? even if it meant he was going to die again. Okay, so he regrets that he can only do that once. He would do that over and over and over again. Okay, so Nathan Hale, again, is bold typed, and next to him and your people, you should have written that he's an American spy. If you did not write that down, then I would write it down right now underneath American heroes. Nathan Hale, American spy. Okay? John, you don't have a pencil. Well, I thought I said to bring a pencil. I don't have an extra pencil in here. Oh, there we go. We got an extra one. Perfect. You can take it over there to him. Thank you. All right, I'm going to keep reading. It says, fighting men and women. At sea, John Paul Jones, an American Navy commander, battled larger British ships. During one battle in the North Sea near Britain, the British asked Jones to give up. He said, I have not yet begun to fight. Jones kept fighting until the British ship gave up. American women also won fame for their bravery during the war. Mary Ludwig Hayes Macaulay earned the name Molly Pitcher by carrying fresh water to American troops during the Battle of Mammoth in New Jersey in 1778. When her husband was wounded, she took his place in battle, loading the cannons. As word of the fight for freedom spread, more volunteers came. Well, let's see. Tadz Kowalczewski left Poland to serve in the Continental Army. He helped design the plans for a fort at West Point, New York. That is now part of the United States Military Academy. So, John Paul Jones was who? Another one you should have written down in your people. What did John Paul Jones do? Riker? He wasn't a spy. What did he do, Malia? Right, he was an American Navy commander, right? And they tried to tell him to give up, and he said, nope, I'm just getting started, didn't he? Okay, so John Paul Jones, you should have written down. How about Mary Ludwig Hayes Macaulay? Known as Molly Pitcher. We're going to read more about her for reading here in a couple weeks. There's a story in our reading book that talks about Molly Pitcher. What did she do, Maya? Right, she carried fresh water to the soldiers, and then she also took her husband's spot. Okay, these are people you may already have down. If you did the assignment yesterday, then you don't have to write it down again. Okay, but if you didn't, then I'd be writing them down. And the last one there is the name that I cannot pronounce. Kowalczewski was a Poland, right, left Poland to serve in the Continental Army, so he was coming from another country again to help the Americans. And then West Point is in New York. What happened at West Point? What happened at West Point? Mason? Well, you better look in your book, it tells you. What were they doing, Adam?
They were building a military base.
Yeah, they were building a fort, right? That was now part of the United States Military Academy. So there was that first section, which you may or may not have written a bunch of stuff down, because you may have already written it down yesterday, right? All right, let's go to the next one here. Page 358. So 358 and 359, your heading is The War Moves. I need a question we can answer. The War Moves. Nick?
Why does the war move?
Good. Why did the war move? What's another question we might ask? Kenny? How does the war move? Give me one more. Why? How? Mason? When? All three of those are good questions. So Roman numeral 2 or just a number 2, you're going to write next to it, the war moves. And then we came up with 3 question words. So next to number 2, the war moves. Remember, the 3 question words we were asking about the war and moving. Malia? Why, how, when. So next to the war moves, I would write down why, how, and when. Okay? You're going to skip a little ways because you've got some questions there to answer. We're going to look at the next heading. It says the war ends. So it moves and now it ends. Questions we can ask about the war ending. Sean, why? Why did the war end? Probably those same questions we just asked about it moving, right? Why did it end? How did it end? When did it end? You might ask what ended it. Okay, how did it become official? Because everybody needs to understand that it's done, right? And generally, what happens at the end of the war? How do they say it's done, we're moving on? How does that happen, Bradley? Exactly. They sign something, right? Like a peace treaty or some kind of formal paper that says we're ending the war, this is what's going to happen. Okay, so we need to know as we read that section what it was they signed and when. Okay, other questions? Nick?
Can't another way to win the war is if they have an American flag and they find British land and just put the flag.
We've seen that too, right, where they kind of claim that with the flag. Yeah, but you're going to have something more official too.
Like a document.
Yeah, like a document. Kenny?
Also, like a way to signify that they want the war to end, that they want to sign, like, they win, is usually to signify that they raise up like a flag.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what Nick was saying. They raise up a flag. If you're surrendering, it's usually a white flag, right? Yep, exactly. So you're going to read that section to see kind of what happens there at the end. Okay, so you have 2 sections left in lesson 3. This one's a little shorter than some of the others were. Okay, that you're going to read and answer those questions. And then you're also going to want to look at those reading check questions on page 359 and on page 361. Okay, those are some other ones. If you did not finish the vocab, people and places, you're going to want to get those added to your notes. All right, that's what you're going to work on right now. Finishing up reading lesson 3, making sure you have all the vocab, people and places. There were a lot of them. Okay, make sure you've got them all. And then answering those questions about the war moving and the war ending. Questions on what you're going to do today. Mimi. Let me get there. Okay, other questions? All right.